Hello everyone, and welcome to Readings in English. I'm so glad you're here. Have you ever thought about the incredible power of language? How it connects us, shapes our understanding of the world, and opens doors to new experiences. English, in particular, has become a global language, a bridge between cultures, a tool for communication in business, science, and everyday life. Learning English can be a challenging but incredibly rewarding journey. It allows you to access a wealth of literature, films, music, and connect with people from all corners of the globe. On this channel, we'll explore the beauty and complexity of the English language through captivating stories, insightful discussions, and practical tips. We'll delve into different genres, explore diverse voices, and uncover the hidden gems of English literature. Today, I'm excited to share a truly powerful and moving story called The Escape. This story follows the journey of Nadia, a Syrian refugee who must learn English to navigate the complexities of a refugee camp in Greece and secure a better future for her daughter. It's a story about resilience, hope, and the transformative power of language in the face of adversity. So sit back, relax, and join me as we embark on this incredible journey with Nadia. Let's begin. The scent of jasmine and cardamom hung heavy in the Damascus air, a familiar comfort to Nadia as she walked to school. The bustling marketplace, a kaleidoscope of colors and sounds, was her daily symphony. She loved the rhythm of the city, the warmth of the sun on her skin, the familiar faces that greeted her with smiles. Nadia was a teacher, her passion ignited by the bright eyes and eager minds of her students. She taught English, believing that language was the key to unlocking a world of opportunities for her students. Her classroom, adorned with maps and posters of faraway lands, was a testament to her belief in the power of connection and understanding. Evenings were spent with her family, her husband, Omar, a skilled carpenter, and their daughter, Lena, a vibrant 5-year-old with an infectious laugh. Their small apartment, filled with the aroma of Omar's cooking and the sound of Lena's playful chatter, was their sanctuary. Life was simple, but it was rich with love, laughter, and the promise of a bright future. Nadia often dreamed of traveling the world with her family, sharing stories and experiences across borders. Little did she know how drastically her world was about to change. The first explosions shattered the tranquility of the night, ripping through the fabric of their lives like a bolt of lightning. The familiar sounds of the city were replaced by the deafening roar of bombs and the chilling cries of fear. The jasmine-scented air became thick with smoke and the stench of burning buildings. The world Nadia knew was crumbling around her. The decision to flee was agonizing, but Omar knew they had to leave. They packed a few meager belongings, precious memories crammed into a single suitcase, and left their home, their city, their lives behind. The journey was a harrowing odyssey of fear and uncertainty. They traveled by bus, by foot, through treacherous terrain, their hearts pounding with every distant siren, every unfamiliar sound. The faces of their fellow travelers reflected the same fear, the same desperation. Lena, clinging to Nadia's hand, was remarkably brave, her innocent eyes absorbing the chaos around her. The language barrier became a stark reality as they crossed borders, the familiar comfort of Arabic replaced by a cacophony of unfamiliar tongues. Nadia's English, once a source of pride and joy, now felt inadequate, a painful reminder of the world they had lost. They arrived in Greece, exhausted and disoriented, seeking refuge in a sprawling camp overflowing with people who had suffered similar fates. The camp, a sea of tents and makeshift shelters, was a stark contrast to the vibrant city they once called home. The transition was jarring, the reality of their situation a heavy weight on Nadia's shoulders. The Moria refugee camp on Lesbos Island was a microcosm of human suffering. A sprawling tent city perched precariously on a hillside, it teemed with thousands of displaced souls, each carrying their own stories of loss and hardship. The air hung heavy with the smells of wood smoke, unwashed bodies, and the faint sweetness of donated aid rations. Children's cries punctuated the constant murmur of conversations in a dozen different languages, a stark reminder of the innocence lost amidst the chaos. Nadia clutched Lena's hand tightly, navigating the labyrinthine pathways between tents, her heart aching with a mixture of fear and protectiveness. The ground was uneven, littered with debris and the remnants of shattered lives. The tents, flimsy and overcrowded, offered little respite from the harsh realities of their new existence. The days blurred into an endless cycle of queuing for food, water, and the elusive promise of information. Rumors spread like wildfire, whispers of resettlement programs, of opportunities for a new beginning, fueling a fragile hope that flickered amidst the despair. It was during one of these endless queues that Nadia met Aisha, a young Syrian woman with a warm smile and a quiet strength. Aisha spoke fluent English, a skill she had honed while working for a humanitarian organization in Damascus. She became Nadia's lifeline, translating the confusing announcements, navigating the bureaucratic maze, and offering a much-needed sense of connection in the impersonal chaos of the camp. Aisha introduced Nadia to other women in the camp, creating a small circle of solidarity and support. They shared stories, recipes, and memories of the lives they had left behind, finding solace in their shared experiences. The women became a source of strength for Nadia, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit could endure. The relentless summer heat beat down on the camp, turning the tents into sweltering ovens. Lena, weakened by the journey and the poor sanitation, developed a persistent cough. At first, Nadia dismissed it as a minor ailment, a common cold that would pass with time. But the cough worsened, accompanied by a fever that burned through Lena's small body. Nadia's heart clenched with fear as she watched her daughter's vibrant energy fade, replaced by a listlessness that chilled her to the bone. The camp's medical clinic, a small, overcrowded tent staffed by overworked volunteers, offered little comfort. The language barrier made communication difficult, Nadia's limited English failing to convey the urgency of Lena's condition. Ayesha tried to help, translating as best she could, but the medical terminology was complex, the explanations confusing. Nadia felt a wave of helplessness wash over her, the fear for her daughter's health amplified by the inability to understand what was happening. She spent sleepless nights holding Lena, whispering prayers and lullabies, her heart pounding with a terrifying premonition. The cough grew more persistent, the fever higher. Lena's breathing became labored, each shallow breath a painful reminder of Nadia's growing desperation. She knew she had to do something, anything, to get her daughter the help she needed. The thought of losing Lena in this desolate place, so far from home, was unbearable. Driven by a primal fear, Nadia knew she had to bridge the chasm of language. Lena's worsening condition was a stark catalyst, igniting a desperate need to communicate, to understand, to advocate for her child. Ishay, sensing Nadia's resolve, offered to help. She began with the basics, simple phrases. "Help me. My daughter is sick. She needs a doctor." Nadia repeated the words, her tongue stumbling over the unfamiliar sounds, the fear in her heart fueling her determination. The camp, in its chaotic symphony of languages, became her classroom. Every interaction, every overheard conversation was a learning opportunity. She listened intently to the volunteers, to the other refugees, mimicking their pronunciations, absorbing the cadence and rhythm of English. She bartered small favors for lessons, trading her dwindling supply of precious spices for a few minutes of conversation with English-speaking volunteers. Progress was slow, frustrating, but each small victory fueled her resolve. She learned to ask for water, for food, for medicine. She learned to describe Lena's symptoms, her halting words painting a vivid picture of her daughter's suffering. She practiced with Ayesha, with other refugees, with anyone who would listen. The shame of her initial struggles was replaced by a fierce determination to master this language, this tool that held the key to her daughter's survival. She began to see the language not just as a means of communication, but as a weapon, a shield against the indifference of the world. With each new word, each new phrase, she felt a growing sense of empowerment, a reclaiming of her agency in a world that had tried to strip her of everything. She began to understand the conversations around her, the whispers of hope, the rumors of resettlement programs. She learned the English words for hospital, for treatment, for hope, And with these words, a new sense of purpose began to bloom within her, a flicker of light in the darkness of the camp. Dr. Elias, a volunteer physician from Greece, noticed Nadia's persistence. He saw the fear in her eyes, the unwavering love for her daughter, and the fierce determination to communicate. He admired her spirit, her refusal to be defeated by the circumstances. He began to take a special interest in Lena's case, spending extra time with Nadia, explaining her daughter's condition in simple terms, using gestures and drawings to bridge the language gap. He recognized the spark of intelligence in Nadia's eyes, the quickness with which she absorbed new information. He started bringing her discarded medical textbooks, encouraging her to study the diagrams and learn the vocabulary. He became her mentor, her guide in this new and unfamiliar world of medical terminology. He corrected her pronunciation, patiently explaining the nuances of the language, the subtle differences in meaning that could mean the difference between life and death. He saw in Nadia a reflection of his own passion for medicine, a deep-seated desire to heal and to help. He recognized the potential for her to become a valuable asset to the camp, a bridge between the medical staff and the refugees. He nurtured that potential, providing her with the tools and the encouragement she needed to thrive. He saw in her not just a refugee, but a colleague, a fellow healer in this makeshift hospital of hope and despair. He began to include her in his rounds, allowing her to observe his interactions with other patients, to learn from his example. He encouraged her to ask questions, to challenge his assumptions, to think critically about the cases they encountered. He saw in her a resilience, a strength that transcended the language barrier, a quality that would serve her well in the difficult days ahead. Nadia devoured the medical textbooks. Dr. Elias provided, tracing the anatomical diagrams with her finger, whispering the English names of bones, organs, and diseases. The unfamiliar words, once daunting and incomprehensible, slowly began to take root in her mind, transforming from abstract symbols into tangible concepts. She practiced her English with anyone who would listen, with the other refugees, with the volunteers, even with Lena, who would repeat the words back to her in a playful sing-song voice. With each passing day, her confidence grew, her sentences becoming more fluid, her pronunciation more accurate. She began to understand the nuances of the language, the subtle shifts in tone and inflection that conveyed meaning beyond the words themselves. The small victories were intoxicating. She could now confidently ask for specific medications for Lena, explain her daughter's symptoms in detail, and understand the doctor's instructions. She could navigate the complex bureaucracy of the camp, filling out forms, making requests, and advocating for her daughter's needs. She could translate for other refugees, helping them to communicate with the medical staff, bridging the gap between their fear and the help they desperately needed. She became a vital link in the chain of communication, a source of comfort and reassurance in a world of uncertainty. She started attending the informal English classes offered by some of the volunteers, eager to expand her vocabulary and refine her grammar. She discovered a love for learning, a thirst for knowledge that had been dormant during the chaotic months of escape and displacement. She found solace in the structure of the lessons, in the familiar routine of learning and practicing. She began to see a glimmer of hope for the future, a possibility of a life beyond the confines of the camp, a life where she could use her newfound skills to rebuild, to heal, to create a better future for herself and for Lena. She began to dream again, not of the life she had lost, but of the life she could still build. Despite the progress she made, Nadia still faced numerous setbacks. The trauma of the escape, the loss of her home and her husband, the constant fear for Lena's health weighed heavily on her. There were days when the words seemed to stick in her throat, when the simplest sentences felt impossible to form. The cultural differences sometimes created misunderstandings, leading to frustration and a sense of isolation. She missed the familiar rhythms of Arabic, the comfort of expressing herself in her native tongue. She missed the warmth of her family, the support of her community. The camp, despite the burgeoning friendships and the small acts of kindness, felt like a prison, a stark reminder of everything she had lost. The lack of resources, the constant shortages of food and medicine, the ever-present threat of illness and violence created an environment of constant stress and anxiety. There were moments of despair when she questioned her ability to learn, to adapt, to survive. The memories of the war, of the journey, of the losses she had endured would surface unexpectedly, triggering waves of grief and overwhelming her with a sense of helplessness. She struggled with guilt, questioning whether she had made the right decisions, whether she could have done more to protect her family. The weight of responsibility for Lena's well-being felt crushing at times. But even in these darkest moments, the thought of her daughter, her bright eyes and infectious laugh would pull her back from the brink. Lena's unwavering spirit, her resilience in the face of adversity, became Nadia's anchor, her reason to keep fighting, to keep learning, to keep hoping. The shared experience of displacement forged a powerful bond between the women in the camp. They gathered in the evenings, huddled around small cooking fires, sharing stories, recipes, and memories of the lives they had left behind. Nadia found solace in these gatherings, a sense of community that transcended language and cultural differences. Aisha, with her fluent English and her unwavering optimism, became a central figure in this makeshift family. She organized informal English lessons, using scraps of paper and donated books to teach the basics of grammar and vocabulary. She encouraged the women to practice speaking, to share their stories, to find their voices in this new language. Among the women, Nadia formed a particularly close bond with Fatima, a widowed mother from Aleppo. Fatima's husband had been killed in a bombing raid, and she had fled to Greece with her 2 young children. Despite the unimaginable grief she carried, Fatima possessed a quiet strength and a fierce determination to provide for her children. She and Nadia shared stories of their lost homes, of their husbands, of the lives they had hoped for. They found comfort in each other's company, a shared understanding that transcended words. Nadia also connected with Elena, a young Greek volunteer who worked at the camp's medical clinic. Elena's kindness and compassion touched Nadia deeply, and she became a valuable source of support and encouragement. Elena helped Nadia to practice her English, patiently correcting her pronunciation and explaining the nuances of the language. She shared stories of Greek culture and history, opening Nadia's eyes to the world beyond the confines of the camp. Through these connections, Nadia began to feel a sense of belonging, a sense of hope that had been absent since she fled Syria. The shared experiences of loss and resilience created a powerful bond between the women, a sense of solidarity that transcended language and cultural differences. They found strength in each other's company, a shared determination to survive, to rebuild, to create a better future for themselves and their children. Despite the hardships and the uncertainties, life in the camp found a rhythm of its own. The days, once a blur of fear and confusion, began to take on a semblance of normalcy. Children played amongst the tents, their laughter echoing through the camp, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. Small businesses sprang up, offering services and goods, creating a microeconomy within the confines of the camp. A makeshift school was established, offering children a chance to continue their education, to reclaim a sense of normalcy amidst the chaos. Nadia found a sense of purpose in teaching English to the children, using her growing skills to help them navigate this new world, to empower them with the gift of language. She saw in their eager eyes a reflection of her own desire to learn, to grow, to rebuild. The evenings brought moments of shared joy and connection. The women gathered around the cooking fires, sharing stories, singing songs, and celebrating the small victories of each day. The aroma of spices and herbs filled the air, evoking memories of home, of family, of a life before the war. Nadia found solace in these moments, a sense of community that had been missing from her life. She began to feel a glimmer of hope for the future, a belief that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit could endure. The resilience of the refugees, Their unwavering determination to survive inspired her. She saw in their strength a reflection of her own inner strength, a reminder that even in the face of unimaginable loss, there was still hope for a better future. She began to dream again, not of returning to the life she had lost, but of creating a new life, a life filled with purpose and meaning, a life where she could use her newfound skills and her unwavering spirit to make a difference in the world. Whispers of a resettlement program began to circulate through the camp, igniting a flicker of hope in the hearts of the refugees. Rumors of interviews, of sponsorships, of opportunities for a new beginning in a new country spread like wildfire, fueling both excitement and anxiety. Nadia listened intently, her heart pounding with a mixture of hope and trepidation. The prospect of leaving the camp, of starting a new life, was both exhilarating and terrifying. She clung to the possibility of a better future for Lena, a future free from the fear and uncertainty that had become their constant companions. Aisha, ever the pragmatist, encouraged Nadia to prepare for the interviews, to practice her English, to gather any documents that might support her application. She shared information about the different countries that were accepting refugees, about the challenges and opportunities that awaited them in their new homes. Nadia spent hours studying, poring over donated books and pamphlets, practicing her English with Aisha and Elena. She wrote and rewrote her story, crafting a narrative of resilience and hope, a testament to her determination to provide a better life for her daughter. She gathered the few remaining documents she had salvaged from their escape from Syria, her university diploma, her teaching certificate, her marriage license, tangible proof of the life she had once lived. The waiting was agonizing. Each day brought new rumors, new anxieties, new hopes. The uncertainty gnawed at Nadia, fueling her fear that this opportunity, this glimmer of hope, might slip through her fingers. She clung to her faith, to the belief that a better future awaited her and Lena, a future where they could rebuild their lives, where they could find peace and happiness once more. The day of the interview arrived, a day fraught with anticipation and anxiety. Nadia dressed Lena in her best clothes, a small pink dress that had miraculously survived the journey from Syria. She brushed her daughter's hair, her hands trembling slightly as she tied a ribbon around her head. She looked at Lena's bright eyes, her innocent smile, and felt a surge of determination. She would do everything in her power to secure a better future for her child. The interview room was small and sparsely furnished, a stark contrast to the chaotic energy of the camp outside. 2 officials sat behind a table, their faces impassive, their expressions unreadable. Nadia's heart pounded in her chest as she sat down, Lena perched on her lap, clutching a small stuffed animal. The interview began, a barrage of questions about her background, her education, her reasons for seeking asylum. Nadia answered in her carefully practiced English, her voice trembling slightly at first, but gaining strength as she spoke. She told her story, a story of loss, of resilience, of hope. She spoke of her love for her daughter, her determination to provide her with a safe and stable future. She answered their questions honestly and openly, her gaze steady, her voice clear. She knew that her future and Lena's future hung in the balance. The officials listened intently, their expressions giving nothing away. They asked about her skills, her experience, her ability to adapt to a new culture. Nadia spoke of her teaching experience, her passion for language, her willingness to learn and to contribute to her new community. She emphasized her determination to work hard, to rebuild her life, to become a productive member of society. The interview ended, the officials thanking her for her time, their expressions still neutral, their words offering no clue as to the outcome. Nadia left the room, her heart pounding, her mind racing. She held Lena's hand tightly, her knuckles white, her body trembling with a mixture of hope and fear. The waiting had begun again, a new kind of waiting, a waiting filled with both the possibility of a new beginning and the fear of another disappointment. The days that followed the interview were a blur of anxious waiting. The camp buzzed with speculation, with rumors of approvals and rejections, of families being selected for resettlement and others being left behind. Nadia tried to focus on the routine of daily life, on caring for Lena, on attending English classes, but the uncertainty gnawed at her, making it difficult to sleep, to eat, to think clearly. She spent hours watching the children play, their carefree laughter a stark contrast to the heavy weight of anxiety that pressed down on her. She found solace in the simple act of holding Lena, of reading to her from the tattered children's books they had managed to salvage from their escape. She clung to the hope that they would be chosen, that they would be given a chance to start anew, but the fear of rejection loomed large, a dark cloud threatening to engulf her fragile optimism. She sought comfort in the company of Fatima and Anisha, sharing their anxieties, their hopes, their fears. They talked about the countries they dreamed of going to, the lives they hoped to build, the futures they envisioned for their children. They prayed together, their voices blending in a chorus of hope and supplication, seeking solace and strength in their shared faith. The waiting was a test of endurance, a crucible that forged an even stronger bond between the women. They supported each other, encouraged each other, reminded each other of their strength and resilience. They clung to the belief that even in the darkest of times, there was always hope, always the possibility of a brighter future. The news arrived on a crisp autumn morning. A small white envelope slipped under the flap of Nadia's tent. Her hands trembled as she opened it, her heart pounding in her chest. Inside, a single sheet of paper, a few lines of official-sounding text, a few words that would change their lives forever. Your application for resettlement has been approved. You have been accepted for resettlement in Canada. Tears streamed down Nadia's face as she read the words, a mixture of relief, joy, and disbelief. She had been chosen. They had been given a chance, a new beginning. She hugged Lena tightly, her daughter's small arms wrapped around her neck, her laughter echoing the joy in Nadia's heart. She ran to find Aisha and Fatima, sharing the news, their cries of joy mingling with the sounds of the camp, a symphony of hope rising above the despair. The news spread quickly, a wave of excitement washing over the camp. Nadia was surrounded by well-wishers, by hugs and congratulations, by a shared sense of hope and possibility. She felt a profound sense of gratitude, not just for the opportunity that had been given to her and Lena, but for the kindness and support she had received from the other refugees, from the volunteers, from the strangers who had become her family. The days that followed were a whirlwind of activity, of packing their meager belongings, of saying goodbye to the friends who had become her lifeline. There were tears, of course, tears of sadness at leaving behind the community that had embraced them, but also tears of joy, of anticipation for the future that awaited them. As they boarded the bus that would take them to the airport, Nadia looked back at the camp, a sprawling tent city perched precariously on a hillside, a place that had held both immense suffering and incredible resilience. She carried with her the memories of the friendships she had forged, the lessons she had learned, the strength she had discovered within herself. She looked at Lena, her daughter's eyes shining with excitement, and felt a surge of hope. They were leaving the camp behind, but they were taking with them the most valuable thing of all, the unwavering belief in a brighter future. The journey to Canada was a blur of airports, airplanes, and unfamiliar faces. Lena, captivated by the novelty of it all, chattered excitedly, her small voice a counterpoint to the quiet hum of the airplane engines. Nadia, exhausted but exhilarated, watched her daughter, her heart filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. She clutched the small white envelope containing their resettlement papers, a tangible symbol of the new life that awaited them. The flight was long and tiring, but Nadia couldn't sleep. Her mind raced with images of the life she had left behind, of the home she had lost, of the family she had been forced to leave. But alongside these memories, a new vision began to take shape, a vision of a future where she and Lena could rebuild their lives, where they could find peace and happiness once more. She imagined Lena attending school, learning English, making new friends. She imagined herself finding work, using her teaching skills to help other newcomers, to bridge the gap between cultures and languages. She imagined a home, a place of safety and comfort, a place where they could finally put down roots. As the plane began its descent, Nadia looked out the window at the vast expanse of Canadian landscape below, a mosaic of forests, lakes, and cities. A sense of awe washed over her, a feeling of possibility and potential. This was their new home, a land of opportunity, a place where they could begin again. The crisp autumn air greeted them as they stepped off the plane, a stark contrast to the dusty heat of the refugee camp. Nadia breathed deeply, filling her lungs with the clean, invigorating air, a sense of renewal washing over her. The airport was a cacophony of sounds and sights, a whirlwind of activity that both excited and intimidated Lena. Nadia held her daughter's hand tightly, reassuring her with a gentle squeeze. They were met by a representative from the resettlement agency, a kind-faced woman named Sarah, who greeted them with a warm smile and a welcoming hug. Sarah spoke slowly and clearly, her English easy for Nadia to understand. She guided them through the arrival process, explaining the next steps, answering their questions, and reassuring them that they were not alone. Sarah took them to their new home, a small but cozy apartment in a quiet neighborhood. The apartment was furnished with the basics, a bed, a table, a few chairs, everything they needed to start their new lives. Nadia looked around the apartment, her heart swelling with gratitude. It wasn't much, but it was theirs, a place of safety and comfort, a place they could call home. Sarah explained the details of the resettlement program, the support services available to them, the resources they could access to help them integrate into their new community. She gave them information about language classes, employment opportunities, and schools for Lena. She assured them that they would be supported every step of the way. As Sarah prepared to leave, Nadia thanked her profusely, her voice choked with emotion. Sarah smiled, her eyes filled with warmth and compassion. "Welcome to Canada," she said. "You are home now." Nadia watched as Sarah left, then turned to Lena, her daughter's eyes wide with wonder. They were home, they were safe, they were finally free to begin again. Nadia enrolled in ESL classes as soon as she could, eager to improve her English and to navigate her new life with greater confidence. The classroom was a vibrant mix of cultures and languages, a microcosm of the diverse community she now called home. She found comfort in the shared experience of learning, in the camaraderie that developed among the students. She listened intently to the teacher, her mind absorbing the nuances of grammar and pronunciation, her vocabulary expanding with each new lesson. She practiced speaking with her classmates, sharing stories, exchanging experiences, and forging new friendships. She discovered a passion for learning, a thirst for knowledge that had been dormant during the tumultuous years of war and displacement. She devoured books, newspapers, and magazines, immersing herself in the language, absorbing the culture, and expanding her understanding of her new home. She watched English language television shows and movies, listening to the rhythm and cadence of the language, mimicking the actors' pronunciations, and gradually developing a natural fluency. She practiced with Lena, teaching her new words and phrases, delighting in her daughter's rapid progress. Lena, with her innate ability to absorb language, quickly became fluent, her playful chatter filling their small apartment with the sounds of English. Nadia's growing confidence in her language skills opened doors to new opportunities. She could now communicate with ease with her neighbors, with shopkeepers, with doctors and teachers. She could navigate the complexities of daily life, from grocery shopping to filling out forms, without the fear and uncertainty that had once plagued her. She felt a growing sense of empowerment, a sense of belonging, a sense of becoming truly Canadian. Armed with her improving English skills and her teaching experience, Nadia began searching for work. She knew it wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to find a job that would allow her to support herself and Lena, to contribute to her new community, and to rebuild her life. She visited the local employment center, where she received guidance on resume writing, interview skills, and job searching strategies. She attended job fairs, networked with other newcomers, and scoured online job boards. The initial rejections were discouraging, but Nadia refused to give up. She knew she had valuable skills and experience to offer, and she was determined to find the right opportunity. She volunteered at a local community center, assisting other newcomers with language learning and settlement support. She found immense satisfaction in helping others navigate the challenges she had faced, in sharing her knowledge and experience, and in making a difference in her new community. Her volunteer work provided her with valuable Canadian work experience, and it also helped her to expand her network of contacts. It was through her volunteer work that she met Mary, a social worker who recognized Nadia's passion for teaching and her dedication to helping others. Mary told Nadia about an opening at a local school for a teaching assistant who could work with newcomer children. The position required fluency in both English and Arabic, and it seemed like a perfect fit for Nadia's skills and experience. Nadia applied for the job, her heart filled with hope. She prepared diligently for the interview, practicing her English, reviewing her teaching experience, and envisioning herself in the role. The interview went well, and a few days later, she received a phone call offering her the position. Tears of joy streamed down her face as she accepted the offer. She had done it. She had found a job, a purpose, a way to rebuild her life and contribute to her new community. With her new job secured, Nadia began searching for a permanent home. She wanted a place where she and Lena could feel safe and secure, a place where they could put down roots and begin to build a new life. With the help of Mary, the social worker, Nadia found a small apartment in a quiet neighborhood. It wasn't much, but it was clean and affordable, and it had a large window that overlooked a small park. Lena was thrilled with the new apartment, especially the park across the street where she could play with other children. Nadia spent hours decorating their new home, hanging pictures, arranging furniture, and creating a cozy and welcoming space. She filled the apartment with books, plants, and small treasures that reminded her of home, creating a sense of familiarity and comfort in this new and unfamiliar land. She and Lena explored their new neighborhood, discovering local shops, parks, and libraries. They met their neighbors, a diverse mix of families from all over the world, and began to build new friendships. Nadia felt a growing sense of belonging, a sense of community that had been missing from her life since she fled Syria. She and Lena were no longer refugees, they were residents, members of a vibrant and welcoming community. They had found a place to call home. 5 years passed quickly. Lena, now 10 years old, thrived in her new school, excelling in her studies and making many friends. She spoke English fluently, with only a slight trace of an accent, a testament to her adaptability and resilience. Nadia, too, had flourished in her new life. She had become a valued member of the school staff, her dedication to her students and her passion for teaching, earning her the respect and admiration of her colleagues. She had also become an active member of her community, volunteering her time to help other newcomers settle into their new lives, sharing her experiences and offering support and guidance. She had made many close friends, people who had welcomed her and Lena with open arms, who had helped them to navigate the challenges of settling in a new country, and who had become their new family. One warm spring evening, Nadia and Lena sat on a park bench, watching the sunset paint the sky in vibrant hues of orange and pink. Lena, chattering excitedly about her day at school, her voice filled with the infectious enthusiasm of youth. Nadia listened, her heart filled with a profound sense of gratitude and hope. They had come so far, overcome so much. They had faced unimaginable hardship, endured unimaginable loss, but they had emerged from the darkness stronger, more resilient, and more hopeful than ever before. As the last rays of sunlight faded below the horizon, Nadia put her arm around Lena, drawing her close. "We made it," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "We are home." 10 years after arriving in Canada, Nadia stood on a stage, addressing a graduating class of ESL students. She spoke of her own journey, of the challenges she had faced, and of the transformative power of language. She encouraged the graduates to embrace their new language, to use it to build bridges between cultures, to create a more just and compassionate world. She spoke of the resilience of the human spirit, of the power of hope, and of the importance of community. As she finished her speech, the auditorium erupted in applause. Lena, now a bright and confident young woman, sat in the front row, her eyes shining with pride. After the ceremony, Lena embraced her mother, her voice filled with emotion. "I'm so proud of you, Mama," she said. "You've come so far." Nadia smiled, her heart swelling with love and gratitude. They had built a beautiful life together, a life filled with love, laughter, and the promise of a bright future. They had found their home, not just in a new country, but in each other, in the strength of their bond, and in the unwavering belief that even in the darkest of times, hope can flourish.